What if I told you the way you're setting goals might be the very thing holding you back? Yeah, I said it. All those vision boards, motivational quotes, and shoot for the stars mantras could be sabotaging your success. But here's the twist. What if the secret to achieving your goals isn't about dreaming bigger or working harder, but thinking differently? And not just any kind of thinking. I'm talking about adopting a Stoic mindset, the ancient philosophy that helped people thrive in the face of chaos, uncertainty, and challenges. Sounds a little heavy, right? But stick with me. In this video, we're diving deep into how the timeless principles of Stoicism can transform the way you approach your goals, eliminate the noise, and help you focus on what really matters. By the end, you won't just have a plan. You'll have a mindset that keeps you steady, no matter what life throws your way. So, if you're tired of setting goals that feel like castles made of sand and ready for a strategy that actually sticks, keep watching. This might just change everything. Number 1, the obstacle map. You know that feeling when life seems to throw roadblocks at you the moment you set a goal. It's almost as if the universe is testing your patience, like, oh, you want this? Let's see how bad. Frustrating, right? Well, what if I told you that those roadblocks aren't the problem? What if the problem is the way we look at them? Stay with me here, because this is where it gets interesting. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Oh, great. Another pep talk about overcoming challenges. Nope, this is different. Instead of fighting those obstacles, let's flip the script and actually invite them in. Crazy? Maybe. But hear me out. Picture this. What if you could create a map, a kind of blueprint, of every possible obstacle standing between you and your goal, not as something to avoid, but as something to expect and prepare for? I call it the obstacle map. Let's break it down. Think about a time when you were laser-focused on achieving something, a promotion, running a marathon, writing a book. Everything felt great at first, right? Then, bam, life stepped in with distractions, doubts, and those sneaky, what's the point moments. We've all been there. And the usual advice? Push through. But pushing blindly is exhausting. What if, instead, you could look ahead, spot those obstacles before they hit, and prepare yourself for them like a strategist going into battle? Here's where the obstacle map comes in. Grab a piece of paper, or your notes app if you're fancy, and write down your goal at the top. Now, think of every single thing that could go wrong or slow you down. Be ruthless. Time, motivation, unexpected bills. Write it all down. Yes, even the stuff you'd rather not think about. The idea here isn't to discourage yourself. It's to see the terrain clearly so nothing surprises you. Let me give you a real-life example. A few months ago, I decided I was finally going to wake up early to exercise. Bold move for a night owl, I know. But instead of jumping in blindly, I mapped out every possible thing that could derail me. Late nights working? Check. Snooze button? Double check. That irresistible urge to binge watch shows? Absolutely. I wrote it all down and planned for each one. Kept my alarm across the room, set a hard bedtime, even bribed myself with post-workout coffee. And guess what? It worked. Not because I'm super disciplined, but because I saw the roadblocks coming. The magic of this method isn't just that it makes your goals easier to achieve. It's how it shifts your mindset. You stop seeing obstacles as personal attacks or reasons to quit. Instead, they become part of the process, almost like checkpoints that prove you're on the right track. Every time you overcome one, it's like a little victory that fuels your confidence. Here's the thing. This isn't just about reaching your goals. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about showing yourself that you're not just someone who tries their best and hopes for the best. You're someone who plans for success, obstacles and all. It's a reminder that your goals are worth navigating rough terrain for. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by challenges, don't avoid them. Map them out. Because every obstacle is a step, not a stop. Your journey isn't about avoiding the hard stuff. It's about mastering it. And once you do, trust me, you'll feel unstoppable. Number 2, desire reduction audit. Let's start with a question. How much of what you want do you actually want? Strange question, right? But think about it. How many of your goals, dreams, or desires are truly yours, and how many are just things you picked up because they look good on someone else? Here's the twist. Most of us are chasing too much, and it's exhausting. So what if, instead of adding more, you started cutting things out? Sounds radical, I know. But stay with me because this could change everything. We've all been there. You're scrolling through social media and suddenly you feel like you're behind. Someone's climbing mountains, someone else is starting a business, and another person is living their best life in Bali. So what do? You pile on more goals. I should get fit. I should learn a new skill. I should be more productive. Before you know it, your to-do list looks like a life resume, and you're drowning in the weight of your own ambitions. It's relatable, but let's be honest. How's that working out? Here's where the desire reduction audit comes in. Instead of running after everything, you take a step back and ask, what do I really want? Not what looks good, not what others expect, but what actually matters to you. It's not about giving up, it's about simplifying. Think of it like spring cleaning for your soul. You're not throwing away dreams, you're making space for the ones that truly count. Now, why does this work? Psychology has a term for it, the paradox of choice. The more options you have, the harder it is to commit. You're always wondering if you picked the right one, and that doubt drains your energy. By reducing your desires, you eliminate the noise and focus your attention on what actually moves the needle. Plus, there's something deeply empowering about looking at your list of shoulds and saying, nope, not for me. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was juggling what felt like a million goals, writing a book, learning guitar, running a side hustle, and let's not forget trying to get a six-pack. Spoiler alert, I was miserable. So one day, I sat down with a piece of paper and wrote out everything I was striving for. Then, next to each one, I asked myself, why? If the answer was something like, because it looks cool, or everyone's doing it, I crossed it off. By the end of the process, I was left with just 3 things that genuinely mattered to me. And let me tell you, the clarity was life-changing. Here's the beautiful part. When you focus on fewer desires, you get better results. It's like watering one plant versus trying to hydrate an entire garden with a single bottle. The plant you nurture thrives, and you feel more accomplished. More importantly, you stop living for others and start living for yourself. This isn't just about achieving goals. It's about freedom. Freedom from the endless cycle of comparison. Freedom from the pressure to do it all. Freedom to focus on what truly makes you happy. And let's be real, isn't that what we're all looking for? So here's my challenge to you. Take out a piece of paper and write down everything you're chasing. Then go through it with ruthless honesty and cross out what doesn't spark a fire in your soul. What's left? That's your focus. That's your freedom. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about having it all. It's about having enough. And when you focus on enough, you find everything you've been looking for. Number 3, ego fasting. Here's a bold question for you. When was the last time you did something purely for yourself, without secretly hoping someone would notice? Tough one, right? Don't worry, I'm not here to call you out. We've all been there, posting that achievement, subtly dropping the humble brag, or even working overtime to get that little nod of approval. But what if I told you the biggest gains in your personal growth might come from stepping away from all of that? That's where ego fasting comes in. Now I know what you're thinking. Ego fasting? Is this some sort of self-help detox? Kind of, but don't roll your eyes just yet. Imagine putting yourself on a mental fast, not from food, but from validation. You hit pause on chasing applause, recognition, or those tiny dopamine hits from likes, shares, or even subtle compliments. Instead, you focus on doing things quietly, for yourself, with zero need for acknowledgement. Sounds uncomfortable, doesn't it? That's exactly why it works. We've all been trapped in the validation cycle. You know the one. You land a win, a promotion, a fitness milestone, a creative breakthrough, and the first thing you do is share it. Why? Because it feels good to hear, "Wow, you're amazing." But here's the kicker. When we rely too much on external praise, we start forgetting how to validate ourselves. We chase achievements not because they fulfill us, but because they make us look good. That's exhausting. And let's be real, it doesn't make us any happier. Ego fasting flips the script. It's not about renouncing ambition or living in isolation. It's about doing the work without announcing it, about keeping wins to yourself just to see how it feels. It's saying, "This is for me and no one else." Why? Because when you remove the audience, you learn what truly matters to you. You stop performing and start living authentically. Here's how I stumbled into this idea. A while back, I decided to take on a personal project, writing daily for 30 days. I didn't tell anyone. No posts, no updates, no accountability partners. Just me, my laptop, and a quiet goal. At first, it felt weird. No one knew what I was doing. No one was there to cheer me on. But as the days went by, I realized something profound. I wasn't writing for approval. I was writing because I loved it. By the end of the 30 days, I felt more fulfilled than I had in years. And not because someone told me, "Good job." The satisfaction came entirely from within. Here's why this works so well. Ego fasting removes the noise and forces you to confront your true motivations. Are you doing this because you love it or because it looks good? The process can be uncomfortable, even humbling, but it's also incredibly liberating. You learn to find joy in the process, not just the results. And when you do succeed, that success feels deeper, more personal, and more meaningful. This isn't about giving up recognition forever. It's about balance. It's about reclaiming your power and reminding yourself that your worth isn't tied to other people's opinions. It's about rediscovering the quiet satisfaction of working towards something you care about, just for you. So, here's my challenge. Pick one thing, just one, that you're working on right now. It could be learning a skill, pursuing a hobby, or even just taking better care of yourself. Keep it to yourself. No announcements, no updates, no applause. Do it because it matters to you. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about silencing your ego. It's about grounding it. It's about proving to yourself that your worth isn't up for debate. You don't need the world's approval. You've already got yours. And trust me, that's more than enough. Number 4, negative visualization targets. Here's a thought to chew on. What if the most powerful way to achieve your goals was to vividly imagine everything that could go wrong? Sounds counterproductive, right? But stay with me. This isn't about being pessimistic or expecting the worst. It's about preparing yourself to handle it. There's a name for this ancient technique, negative visualization, and when you focus it on specific targets, it can become a secret weapon for building resilience and clarity. Think about it. We've all set goals with a bright, shiny vision of success in our minds. You picture the promotion, the weight loss, the dream vacation, and it feels great for a moment. But then reality hits, and the obstacles you didn't see coming knock the wind out of you. It's not that your goal was impossible, it's that you didn't anticipate the challenges. And let's be honest, when the unexpected happens, we're all a little guilty of throwing in the towel or blaming the world for being unfair. This is where negative visualization targets come into play. Instead of just dreaming about the finish line, you take the time to visualize the hurdles. You ask yourself, what could derail this plan? And then imagine those scenarios in vivid detail. What if you miss a deadline? What if you lose motivation halfway through? What if someone criticizes your work? It's uncomfortable, sure, but it's also empowering because it lets you preemptively plan your responses. It's like building a mental playbook for the worst-case scenarios, so when they happen, and they probably will, you're ready. Let me share a quick example from my own life. A couple of years ago, I decided to run a half marathon. Ambitious, right? I was fired up, visualizing myself crossing the finish line to cheers and high fives. But after my first week of training, I hit a wall, literally and figuratively. I hadn't accounted for how draining early mornings would be, or how I'd feel when my legs screamed at me to quit. I almost gave up. Then, a coach suggested something unconventional. Visualize every reason you might quit and plan for it. So I did. I pictured my alarm going off at 5 a.m. and me wanting to snooze it. I decided to put my running shoes right by my bed. I imagined hitting a bad weather day. I bought a rain jacket. I even thought about getting bored on long runs, so I prepped a killer playlist. That shift in perspective got me across the finish line. Here's the magic of this practice. It doesn't make the challenges go away, but it gives you the tools to face them head on, and it works for anything, starting a business, navigating a tough relationship, or even daily tasks. Negative visualization targets are about embracing the full reality of your goal, not just the highlight reel. You create a buffer between your expectations and reality, and that buffer makes you stronger, more adaptable, and less likely to quit. This is more than just strategy. It's about owning your journey. It's about saying, yes, I know this won't be easy, and I'm ready for that. It's a mental armor that lets you move forward without being blindsided. So here's a challenge for you. Take one goal you're working on and write down every obstacle you think could get in your way. Don't hold back. Be brutally honest, even if it feels uncomfortable. Then, next to each one, write down how you'll tackle it. What's your plan B? What's your mindset shift? And how will you keep going when things get tough? Because this isn't about expecting failure, it's about preparing for it. And when you prepare, you're not just visualizing success, you're making it inevitable. This is your story, and you're ready for whatever comes next. Number 5. Discomfort training. Here's a wild idea. What if the thing you're avoiding the most is exactly what you need to embrace? Think about it. Discomfort isn't something we like to invite into our lives. We avoid it, cushion ourselves from it, and sometimes even run from it. But here's the kicker. Discomfort is the secret ingredient to growth. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but trust me, the path to becoming your best self isn't lined with cozy blankets and easy choices. It's paved with those moments when your heart races, your palms sweat, and your mind says, I can't do this. Let's face it, we've all been there. You know those moments when an opportunity comes up, but it's just outside your comfort zone. Whether it's speaking up in a meeting, starting a conversation with someone new, or trying something you might fail at, our natural reaction is often to shrink back. It's like our brains are hardwired to prioritize safety over growth. And who can blame us? Safety feels good. But here's the truth, that little voice saying, maybe next time, is keeping you stuck. This is where discomfort training comes in. The idea is simple but powerful. Intentionally expose yourself to small, manageable challenges that push you out of your comfort zone. It's like going to the gym, but instead of lifting weights, you're building your tolerance for the unknown, the awkward, and the difficult. Why? Because the more you practice being uncomfortable, the less intimidating discomfort becomes. Over time, those scary things start to feel normal. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about diving headfirst into terrifying situations. It's about baby steps. For example, when I first started practicing discomfort training, I decided to do something small but nerve-wracking. Ask for a discount at a coffee shop. Sounds silly, right? But for someone like me, who hates rejection, this was huge. I rehearsed my line, walked up to the counter, and, my voice shaking, asked, "Any chance there's a discount for first-timers?" The barista smiled and said no, but here's the thing. I didn't die of embarrassment. In fact, I walked out feeling invincible. It wasn't about getting the discount. It was about proving to myself that I could handle rejection. The beauty of discomfort training is that it applies to every area of life. Afraid of public speaking? Start by sharing a thought in a small group, avoiding a tough conversation. Write down what you need to say and practice with a friend first. The point isn't to be perfect, it's to practice being brave. And here's the secret. Courage is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. This isn't just about tackling fears, it's about reclaiming your power. Every time you lean into discomfort, you're reminding yourself that you can handle whatever life throws at you. You're building resilience, confidence, and a sense of control. It's not about being fearless, it's about learning to fear less. So here's your challenge. Pick one thing this week that makes you uncomfortable. Something small. Maybe it's striking up a conversation with a stranger, saying no to something you don't want to do, or trying an activity you've always been curious about but too scared to attempt. And when your brain says, "This is too much," remind yourself, growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. Discomfort training isn't easy, but it's worth it. Because on the other side of discomfort is freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from doubt, and freedom to become the person you've always wanted to be. Number 6. Memento mori milestones. Here's a thought that might stop you in your tracks. One day, everything you're doing, planning and stressing over will be left behind. Sounds heavy, doesn't it? But hang on, don't click away just yet. This isn't about being morbid, it's about living fully. The idea of memento mori, or remember you must die, isn't meant to make you feel grim. It's an ancient practice meant to wake you up, to make you realize how precious and fleeting this life really is. And here's the twist. Instead of avoiding thoughts of mortality, what if we use them as a guide to live better? Now, before you start thinking, why would I want to dwell on something so uncomfortable? Let me ask you this. Have you ever looked back on a major event in your life and thought, wow, that really put things into perspective? Maybe it was losing someone, a major change, or even just a tough day that made you stop and reevaluate what actually matters. We've all had those moments where time feels short, and suddenly, the little things that used to bug us fade away. The truth is, that perspective doesn't have to wait for a crisis. You can create it intentionally. Enter memento mori milestones, a practice of marking key moments in your life with the reminder that time is finite, but your choices are powerful. It's not about counting down the days in fear. It's about flipping the script and using those milestones to align your life with what truly matters. Why does this work? Because when you embrace your mortality, you stop sweating the small stuff and start focusing on what lights you up. Here's how it played out for me. A few years ago, I started writing down death dates for major projects and goals. Sounds dark, I know, but here's what happened. When I looked at my calendar and thought, if I only had a year to make this happen, how would I act? Something shifted. Suddenly all the procrastination, second-guessing and perfectionism didn't feel so important. What did feel important? Taking action, reaching out, saying yes to the things that scared me but mattered most. One moment stands out. I had a dream to reconnect with an old friend who I hadn't spoken to in years. But you know how it is. You put it off, telling yourself there will always be time. Then one day I wrote their name under my memento mori milestones list. It hit me. What if there isn't always time? That week I reached out. We had an incredible conversation, and it reminded me why they mattered so much to me in the first place. That wouldn't have happened if I hadn't reminded myself of the finite nature of time. This isn't just about personal relationships or big dreams. It's about the everyday choices we make. Memento mori milestones encourage you to treat your time like the priceless resource it is. Instead of waiting for the right moment to start something, you realize that this moment is the only guarantee you have. And that's freeing. This practice isn't about fear, it's about clarity. It's about making decisions that honor your deepest values, letting go of the trivial and showing up for the things and people that matter most. Imagine how much lighter you'd feel if you stopped wasting time on resentment, comparison, or worrying about what others think. This is about reclaiming your time, your energy, and your focus. So here's my challenge to you. Take a moment today to reflect on one milestone ahead of you, something meaningful that deserves your attention. Maybe it's a goal you've been putting off, a relationship that needs nurturing, or even just an adventure you've always dreamed of. Write it down, and beside it, add the phrase memento mori. Let it remind you that time is precious, and the best way to honor it is by living with intention. Remember, this isn't about fearing the end. It's about using that awareness to live boldly, love fiercely, and leave no room for regrets. Your milestones are waiting. Don't keep them waiting too long. Number 7, reverse accountability. Here's a wild idea. What if holding someone else accountable could be the secret to keeping yourself on track? I know, it sounds backward, like some sort of motivational mind game. But stay with me. You've probably heard a million times how accountability partners are the key to reaching your goals. The classic setup: find someone to hold you responsible for showing up, doing the work, and hitting your milestones. But what if we flipped the script? What if the best way to stay accountable was by being the one who's relied on? Now, you might be thinking, how does this even work? I have my own plate full. Why add someone else's goals to the mix? Trust me, I get it. But here's the thing. When you commit to helping someone else succeed, something incredible happens. You naturally raise your standards. You become more consistent, more focused, and more disciplined because you don't want to let them down. It's like a double-edged mirror. By holding them accountable, you're constantly reflecting on your own actions. Think about it. We've all had those moments where we let ourselves off the hook. Oh, I'll start tomorrow. One missed deadline won't hurt. But would you say that to a friend counting on you? Probably not. We tend to show up better for others than we do for ourselves. And that's exactly where reverse accountability comes in. By taking responsibility for someone else's progress, you naturally create a structure that pulls you forward too. I discovered this during a fitness journey with a coworker. We both wanted to get healthier, but neither of us could seem to stay consistent. So, instead of just checking in on each other, we agreed to flip it. I was responsible for making sure they hit their daily goals, and they did the same for me. Suddenly, it wasn't just about me anymore. If I slacked, it wasn't just my progress on the line, it was theirs. Let me tell you, the last thing you want to do is text your accountability partner and say, "Yeah, I skipped today, again." That dynamic kept us both moving forward. One day they texted me saying they almost skipped their run because it was raining. My response, "Nope, rain or shine, you've got this. I'm doing mine too." And you know what? Not only did they run, but so did I, despite my own excuses piling up. That's the magic of reverse accountability. It turns "I should" into "I have to" for them. This isn't just about fitness. You can use reverse accountability for any goal: starting a business, writing a book, learning a new skill. It's a game changer because it taps into something deeper, our innate desire to show up for others. And in doing so, we create a ripple effect of integrity and commitment in our own lives. At its core, reverse accountability isn't about adding pressure, it's about adding purpose. It's about creating a shared journey where both of you rise together. And yes, it requires vulnerability. You have to let someone in, share your goals, and admit when you're struggling. But in return, you gain a level of commitment that's hard to achieve alone. So, here's your challenge. Think about someone in your life who has a goal they're working toward. Reach out and offer to be their accountability partner, not just as a mutual check-in, but as someone who's truly invested in their progress. Tell them to do the same for you. Watch how the dynamic shifts when you know someone else is counting on you to show up. Not just for yourself, but for them. This isn't about perfection or pressure, it's about connection and growth. It's about creating a system where everyone wins. Because when you hold the rope for someone else, you realize that it's also the rope pulling you closer to your best self. Thank you so much for watching. I truly hope this video gave you some fresh insights or even a new perspective on goal setting with a Stoic mindset. If you found it valuable, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps support the channel and allows more people to discover content like this. And if you want more strategies to stay focused, grounded, and on track, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any upcoming videos. If you know someone who's feeling stuck or overwhelmed with their goals, share this video with them. It might just be the spark they need. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. What's a goal you're working on right now, and how do you think a Stoic approach could help you? Share your experiences or even your questions in the comments. I read every single one, and it's always amazing to see this community come together. Remember, your goals are not just about achievement, they're about growth, focus, and aligning with what truly matters to you. Keep reflecting, stay steady, and trust the process. Until next time, stay strong and stay true to your path. You've got this.